NASA and all other international partners hope to keep the space station running until 2030. Meanwhile, the Russians have made it clear that they're unwilling to make commitments beyond 2024. Yuri Borisov, the new head of Roscosmos, recently made this announcement, and naturally, the whole world is reacting. So why did Russia decide on this? Let's get straight into the details. First of all, what is the International Space Station? So in case you don't already know, the International Space Station circles the planet from 250 miles up. It's the largest modular space station currently in low Earth orbit. 5 participating agencies, NASA, Roscosmos, JAXA, CSA, and ESA, are all involved in it as it's a multinational collaborative project. It was launched on the 20th of November 1998 and is often considered to be above the earthly conflicts that play out beneath. The outpost is used to conduct scientific research in zero gravity and test out equipment for future space journeys. The orbiting outpost has had its share of political turmoil in more than 2 decades of hosting humans. The US-Russian partnership has been a clear success as a symbol of post-Cold War cooperation, but this hasn't always been a smooth ride. And now, Yuri Borisov's announcement and the country's discontent. Yuri Borisov announced this week that Russia will quit the International Space Station after 2024. This is only the latest expression of the country's discontent. Back in 2015, Roscosmos said that it would leave the partnership soon. They will unbolt the modules and use them to build an outpost of their own. This means that a Russian space station still remains one of the agency's prime ambitions. There have been fractures in the partnership before, which also includes Europe, Canada, and Japan. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Rogozin said that his country would reject plans to extend the ISS operations beyond 2020. This was in 2014 and in protest against sanctions over the annexation of Crimea. The threat was let go, but Russia's invasion of Ukraine this year sparked further upheaval for space cooperation, and this time it's looking very hard to repair. Russia and the US entered talks in January to operate the space station until 2030, but Russia's invasion of Ukraine has triggered a fresh round of sanctions. Some have a direct impact on the country's space program. Rogozin responded to these sanctions, claiming the station could crash on an unsuspecting nation without the Russians to keep it aloft. He was dismissed just this month as the head of Roscosmos. So how is Russia's uncertainty disrupting NASA's plans? According to NASA's current plan, it'll ditch the ISS in 2031, deorbiting the aging structure on a trajectory that would send any remnants of re-entry into a remote region. This will be in the south of the Pacific Ocean. The station may also open its airlocks to commercial enterprises in the coming years. It'll be done for activities such as broadcasting, tourism, sports, and filmmaking. The extreme uncertainty over Russia's commitment means that space agencies working on the ISS must plan for the country's departure while hoping it stays on. Dr. Pavel Luzin, a Russian military and space analyst, points out that Borisov said after 2024 and not at the end of 2024. This leaves a door open for longer involvement. The former director of the Space Policy Institute said that with Russia's stance on the ISS, space agencies would be in dereliction of their duty if they hadn't made contingency plans. He also said that there was hope that Russia could be persuaded into continuing, but that was pre-Ukraine. Next up, what exactly will happen if Russia quits? If Russia actually quits, the immediate task would be keeping the station in orbit. Right now, that's fulfilled by the Russian Progress spacecraft. It gives the ISS periodic boosts to maintain its altitude. Northrop Grumman and SpaceX are strong contenders for taking over if Russia drops out, but it's not a trivial job at all. According to Luzin, it's not easy, but is technically possible. He also mentioned that the US and other partners don't have all the necessary technologies and capabilities for this. If we look at other options, Russia can be paid to carry on with its station-keeping service. Professor Jan Warner believes and hopes that they'll continue beyond 2024. According to him, the station doesn't make any sense without the country. If the announcement that Borisov made becomes a reality, it'll be the end of the space station. There are doubts regarding the ISS surviving without Russia, even if extraordinary efforts are made. Whatever the fate of the outpost, the next step in human exploration will see alliances shift. The US, Europe, Canada, and Japan have plans for the moon, including a lunar space station. On the other hand, Russia will be partnering up with China for a completely separate lunar station and moon base. Now, on to other news. First up, Congress passes the NASA authorization bill. Congress has passed the first NASA authorization bill in more than 5 years. It formally extended operations of the International Space Station and backed NASA's Artemis exploration effort. The House passed on a 240 143 to 187 vote on the 28th of July. This act is called Creating Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors and Science Act. Biden has said that he supports the bill and will sign it into law. Primarily, the bill was a vehicle for supporting domestic manufacturing semiconductors, but one portion of the bill included NASA authorization legislation. The portion released last week extends the agency's authorization to operate the ISS from 2024 to 2030. The Moon to Mars program is now formally authorized. This includes the Artemis campaign of lunar missions and eventual human missions to Mars. It'll be the first NASA Authorization Act to become law since the NASA Transition Authorization Act of 2017 in March 2017. There have been several attempts at new NASA authorization bills. This includes versions that passed one branch of Congress but not both. Industry groups also back the bill, saying that it's encouraging to see Congress prioritize the enhancement of technology, infrastructure, and workforce. Up next, NASA is crowdsourcing cloud research on Mars. Space fans now can help analyze the data collected by the Mars Climate Sounder. Around the end of 2020, planetary scientist Marek Slipsky found himself glued to his computer. He spent countless hours poring over image after image of the Martian atmosphere. The postdoctoral researcher at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was looking for clouds. He had written an algorithm for the task, but it was yielding mixed results, so he resorted to eyeballing the data instead. This quickly became overwhelming, as even in the small chunk of data he was studying, there were a lot of distinct cloud populations. He realized that this will take a bit more time, and it'll also be nice if he had some help. Luckily, NASA had just put out a call for its Citizen Science Seed funding program. It gives space fans an opportunity to get involved in cutting-edge research. Slipsky, along with Armin Kleinbull, immediately started to create a proposal. After weeks of beta testing around late June, the Cloud Spotting on Mars project launched on the Zooniverse. This is a platform that hosts hundreds of citizen projects. Until now, 2,600 volunteers have joined the effort, introducing themselves on the forums. An interesting thing here is that participants need only a computer and internet access to contribute. This is because the data is viewed using a browser-embedded visualization tool. The tool comes with a very quick optional tutorial. The 5 researchers who make up the Cloud Spotting team hope that this work will shed light on the red planet's global weather patterns. They also want to know why its atmosphere is so thin compared to our own. This has gotten the world of space technology really excited, and we can't wait for what's about to come next. Lastly, NASA announces Shane Kimbrough to retire. Shane Kimbrough retired after 22 years, including 18 years of being an astronaut. His last day with the agency was on the 31st of July, Sunday. He spent 388 days in space. This landed him 5th on the list of record holders for cumulative time in space for all NASA astronauts. He flew on 3 different spacecraft: the Space Shuttle, Soyuz, and SpaceX Crew Dragon. He's known to be the 4th person to do this. Also, he performed 9 spacewalks during these 3 space flights. He was recently the commander of NASA's SpaceX Crew 2 mission to the International Space Station. This was the second long-duration mission for the Crew Dragon spacecraft and the longest flight for a U.S. human spacecraft yet. Kimbrough had his crew throughout the mission and performed more than 250 scientific investigations. These were designed to benefit all of humanity and also help future exploration. Kimbrough was selected as an astronaut candidate in 2004. Upon his retirement, he said that he was grateful for the opportunity to serve as a NASA astronaut for the past 18 years. He also expressed his gratitude for the fact that he got to travel in space, as it was like a dream come true. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think about Russia killing off the International Space Station? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.